Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Kilger, Managing Editor for Feed and Grain and host of the Feed and Grain podcast. We have a special episode today. I got a chance to talk with some students from Kansas State University's Grain Science Department on the show floor at IPPE this year. The audio is maybe a little tad rough during some parts, but better than you'd think. And my guests, Carter Minson and Garrett Freson, were just great to talk to. We discussed why they took an interest in the feed industry, their experience getting an education in grain science, and what they're looking forward to in their future careers. I recorded a couple of these interviews during the show with some other students from KSU, and I'll be releasing those slowly in the coming months. Before we get to those interviews, a little bit of housekeeping. If you're listening to this podcast within a podcast app, please consider subscribing and or leaving a review. If you have an idea for a topic you would like me to cover, or someone in the animal feed, grain handling, or related industries you think I should talk to, let me know. This podcast's page on feedandgrain.com has a button right under the title that will allow you to send an email directly to me. I'd love to hear from you about anything, so please drop me a line. Now, enough of that, on to the conversation itself. You wouldn't mind just first and last name telling me who you are so I can type that up later?
Yeah, Carter Minson. I'm from western Kansas. Grew up in a small town. I wasn't really ever involved with feed production, but had a couple animals. Like I showed pigs growing up for a couple of years, and kind of led me to knew I wanted to go to K-State. Knew I wanted to do something within animal production, but wasn't really sure what. Found feed science and enjoyed the last 3 years I've been there. It's been good.
What made feed science stand out for you?
I think some of it was just the production and all the equipment. I knew I really didn't want to work. I mean, feed production is a live animal side, but it's not like in the barn every day doing that kind of stuff. So it's just an avenue. Never really wanted to be a nutritionist when I was growing up, but kind of got some interest in that now. So there's just a lot of different avenues that sparked my interest a little bit. But a lot of it's just the operation and how all the equipment works. Things happen. There's a science that ties into it that I didn't realize until I started doing a little bit of my own undergrad research.
Yeah, did you have experience with it before? Did you go to the feed mill when you were young? Did you do that kind of thing? No, not really?
Not really at all. There's a couple guys back home that have degrees in feed science that I didn't even, were family friends. I didn't even know they had that degree until like last year. No, it's good. I enjoy it. There's a lot of opportunities, it seems like.
You're going to go for your master's. Are you planning on staying at KSU? You're thinking master's in feed science right now? Are you going to go into the nutrition side of things? What?
I'm going to get a master's. It's a master's in grain science, but it's going to be with our feed science professor. Hopefully do a lot of operations research. I'll do some nutrition research too within it. But
yeah. Well, have you considered like grain elevator management, that kind of thing?
I'm not really sure I want to do that. I think I want to do more on like making feed rather than with the commodities. They're all tied in together. But
yeah, but I mean, it's different. I mean, there's a little more science behind it. Are you thinking you want to go in the actual science route, management route? What are you
thinking? Like the service tech, like operations, service tech type stuff. Maybe some research at some point. We'll see. There's a lot of things can happen in a couple of years, present themselves.
You have a lot of opportunities still. Are you thinking about internships, anything like that?
Yes, I've had 2 different internships. I worked for a cattle producer 2 years ago in the Panhandle of Texas, and then I worked for a poultry production company last summer.
Oh, nice.
So.
Who'd you work for?
I worked for Cobb.
Oh, Cobb. Yeah,
I worked at their
nice.
feed mill in Siloam Springs last summer. So.
Oh, awesome. And you liked it? You actually got in the feed mill, and you're like, yeah, this is still...
Oh, yeah, it was good. It was pretty much every day, learning all the different jobs within the feed mill. And then I learned some managerial stuff, which was nice, seeing that side of it. So.
And it'll help you no matter what side of the industry you go into, right? Yeah. Eventually go into more of a nutrition path. Knowing how a feed mill actually works is
it's a big help.
Yeah. So how are you liking the show? Is this your first one?
Yeah, first one. Yeah, it's huge.
Most of it's poultry production and stuff, though. So the feed thing's a little smaller. You got to go out, talk to some people. Have you stopped by any equipment manufacturers? Have you been seeing what's new out there?
Yeah, so we've stopped by some of the equipment that we have in the feed mill. So RMS with the roller mills, we stopped by them. They have a new direct drive roller mill, which is cool. So stopped by them. CPM, we run CPM pellet mills at the feed mill. So just a lot of the equipment that's familiar already, seeing those people, seeing the people we know, some ingredient suppliers.
Yeah.
So,
well, because KSU has a feed mill, right? So have you been working in there?
Yeah, so we have a full-scale feed mill. Everything's pretty much what you'll see in industry, maybe a little bit smaller, but it's still very similar. I've worked there for the last 2 years.
Yeah, nice.
Do that when I'm not in class.
Is that part of classes? Do you like?
It is now. They're implementing it. They changed the curriculum a little bit, and it is now. But it wasn't before. It's a part-time job that makes a little money.
So, do you think you have any thoughts of like what would you say to your people your same age of why they should kind of get into feed production, animal feed production?
I just think there's so many opportunities that could go along with it. I don't even think I think a lot of kids think you had to have raised animals growing up to be a part of it, but I'm a kid that didn't raise animals growing up. I didn't grow up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it just goes to show you can learn stuff if you're willing to branch out.
Yeah.
Take opportunities. People are willing to help you. It's a small world in the feed industry once you get to branch out a little bit.
Well, you're excited about, a lot of people like living in small towns, rural America, and this is one of the big job opportunities in that kind of area. Are you looking forward to that? You planning on going back your home area? Where are you from?
Western Kansas.
Are you planning on going back to Western Kansas when you graduate? Or just wherever the job opportunities take it?
I'm pretty much open to living anywhere. I'd like to have a job at some point where I could travel a little bit.
Yeah.
But, we'll see where it ends up.
And thank you for agreeing to talk. Can you say your name and first and last name real quick?
Yeah. Garrett Freson.
Garrett. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
I am doing all right. How are you? How are you enjoying the trade show?
Good.
Is this your first one?
Yeah, this is the first one we've been to. So
Nice.
pretty much all new people. I don't know if any of us have been.
Is it what you expected?
The trade show part is definitely more than what I expected. It's pretty cool. We did some presentations too for some of our research, so that was kind of fun.
What are you researching?
We've done a lot of different stuff. So we had one on food waste use into poultry diets. Myself and one other of the students, we did use of a newer grain that hasn't really been used in feed. So did some research there, and then there was some on just the pelleting process and efficiency. So
yeah, that's kind of the fun part of being. Well, you're a graduate student.
I'm an undergrad. Yep.
Oh, nice.
So,
Are you planning on getting your master's, or are you going to go into the industry?
I've got about a semester left. Hopefully, start in the summer.
Nice.
So that's my plan anyway.
It's a good plan. The big question is, what's your background? What kind of drew you into wanting to study feed science?
So I'm from Indiana, and then we showed livestock, mainly sheep. Was kind of what we did. Still raise sheep, and then my dad and my mom both have a background in animal science, nutrition, food science. So that was kind of where it all started. Yeah. And then with the production side, us raising our own animals, one of my biggest interests was always nutrition and, how that affects them. But then I didn't learn about feed science until coming to visit Kansas State and looking around, and that was one of the things. But that kind of led me to it, I'd say.
Something you don't think about, right? Was it a class, or did you just pick it up?
So I risked it and moved from Indiana to Kansas, hoping that I liked feed science, and luckily it's great. I really enjoy it. But one of the things that really, when I was starting to think of where I wanted to go to school and what for, they give you some facts about the feed industry, the grain science industry and all, and it's just the stability of jobs. They're telling us that you can get 3, 4, 5 job offers and you get to pick. So stuff like that kind of attracts you, and then you get into it, try it out, learn about the science and the processing, and it's just interesting about how all of it works. And that's it.
Working in a feed mill, what kind of interests you about it? Animal nutrition, obviously, but you could be a nutritionist. Are you planning on doing that? Are you planning on going to the kind of actual management? What's your current goal?
I've thought about PhD in nutrition. I don't know if I'll go that route. What I'm thinking about more is like a tech service type of a position. So get to do a little bit of the office work, if you will, but then also the ability to go to the feed mill or the plant and solve a problem or figure out what's going wrong with their quality or machine or something. So that's kind of why I like being in the feed mill. So I like the nutrition side of things, but it's always something different.
Yeah.
So you go in and being able to go through and try to figure out what's wrong, that's kind of an interesting aspect of things. So
nice. Have you had any internships, anything like
Mhm.
that so far? Or have you...
I did an internship with Country View Family Farms. They're an integrated swine farm,
Okay.
and it's in Hagerstown, Indiana, is where I did that
Nice.
internship. So I worked for them summer, and then I went back in the winter too over our Christmas break while I was home and worked for them. And so we a lot of SOP training, and then rewrites is something I worked on the first time. And then also we went through and they wanted me to update their quality control
Oh, nice.
program. So that was something I got to do and went back and forth between what I learned at college and then trying to implement that to a mill that's going to hopefully use all that. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've already got that. That's a huge experience right out the bat, huh? Does the draw of kind of you'll be able to move pretty much anywhere you want in the Midwest, at least after you Midwest and Southern Corn Belt and all that.
right.
Is that part of the appeal? Are you planning on going back to Indiana? What do you?
Hopefully I can go back to Indiana. That's kind of a goal for me. But for some people, the fact that you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go, and if you're willing to, you could go work in every state in the country if you really wanted to. So
Yeah,
I can definitely see where that would be an appeal for some people. But
work almost anywhere in the world if you really wanted to.
oh yeah, there's
So-
a lot of opportunities in it.
Are you working in the Kansas State University female?
Yes, so I've worked there 3 years now, I believe, and Carter and myself are trying to learn some of the operations, and then we've got Julia, Ashley, and Nathaniel.
Mhm.
So we've got about 5 of us that work there, and we're just learning. We're in between management, and then we've also got our research coordinator that'll be on a leave here soon. So we're trying to all learn together so that we can keep it running so we don't shut anything down again, but
Yeah.
it gets interesting.
Have you found that hands-on experience
Oh,
valuable? Yeah.
Absolutely, yep. Being able to kind of learn it in the classroom, but then since we work there, we get to go and then do it hands-on. It's up to us to do it. So having the hands-on, but also the responsibility of that helps you learn what you're doing.
Have you gotten to go to any of the feed education programs here at the show yet?
No, I didn't get to do any of the trainings or anything like that. We did do a lot of the science presentations. We looked through a lot of that. So that was kind of an interesting part of the show to watch too.
Are you getting to go around and visit vendors and do that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, we've been walking around pretty much all day, getting to talk to people, so that's fun.
Everyone friendly?
Oh yeah, everybody is. Yeah. So we're learning anything from enzymes to new equipment they're coming out with, so a lot of interesting stuff.
Well, that's one of the big advantages of the industry is I think it's a pretty friendly industry
Oh yeah.
overall.
Oh yeah.
And it's small, it's tight knit, so you see the same people year after year and eventually become pretty good friends with them. Which I used to work for the American Farm Bureau Federation, but when you go to that kind of production agriculture, it gets so much bigger. Which it's nice to have feed, which is just its own little small world of itself. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you.
Okay.
You did great. Hi, everyone. It's Steven again. I forgot to record an outro on the show floor. I just want to thank Carter and Garrett for talking with me, and you, of course, for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and I hope you'll be back for the next one. Stay safe.